Jesse, I'm gonna have to bounce at about 20 minutes, but I think I'll leave this account logged in, just so it doesn't mess up the live streaming.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay,
but can you, if nobody else shows up, can you lead the meeting since I'm
sure.
gonna have to pop out? Thanks.
Yep.
Suppose it might be light attendance today,
Yeah,
since
yeah, I figured
people are
it
already
probably
taken
would
off. I
be.
just realized.
Give everybody a minute to show up. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get us started. It's already 4 minutes after. Probably gonna be light attendance anyway, so we'll just get moving. Please sign into the doc. I don't think there's any new faces. I feel like we've met, if I'm not mistaken. I'm really bad at remembering names though, but maybe not. If not, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'll just introduce myself. So I've been here once before. So I work with Google, and yeah, I had been here once before to discuss about some stuff, and I want to discuss some more about it. Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good. Let's see if I can figure out these open RFCs. I feel like there's mostly nothing here. I think there's one with Joe in here. Inline build pack layers. I know Joe, you said you were gonna look at that and take care of it, so I'm gonna remind you again to either remove the new need steward or do whatever
Yeah.
with that at some point. There's nothing in review. Nothing is open for voting right now. The only other standing item is TOC updates. If someone wants to drop into that.
Yeah. Hold on one second. Yeah. So we had a kickoff on Tuesday with our CNCF rep, and started going over the actionable things that we need to do. Um, the first order of business was getting adopters into there's a form they have to fill out, and they'll schedule interviews with adopters. That had already been done, so I think the next step is just having our CNCF rep schedule the interviews. We might try to add one or two more. So Terrence, I think maybe we should talk to Jericho or somebody, just some others. The other thing was a general technical review, which is optional, but is useful for as input into the due diligence review or whatever it's called. So I got the template for that and I've started it. I shared it with Terrence. I'll share it with the broader leadership team soon. But it looks like it's mostly just it's very similar to the one that we filled out back last February. So a lot of it's just copy pasting over from that old one. But yeah. Yeah, the roadmap thing there is just I noticed that the roadmap in the community repo is hasn't been updated with the roadmap RFC content. That was it. Unless Terrence has anything to add.
No, I think that covers most of it. Yeah, Ray, reach out to Jericho on stuff. I'll get the roadmap stuff updated for my RFC. Uh, yeah, I think a lot of the GTR stuff is it saves the other. It's really just about speeding, I think, the due diligence up on our end or on their end, um, versus us passively waiting. Um, still trying to see if we can land that KubeCon EU timeline.
Awesome. The next item on here is the build's observability telemetry specification. This is the pull request to the spec to implement the RFC that was approved a while back. There were some changes in this once we kind of started implementing it. We figured out that there were some naming differences on like where the files lived and how they got accessed. So I, worked with folks in that thread to kind of figure out whether this would still work. And so I think I'm looking for some thumbs up, thumbs down, and also process if we need to go update the RFC either after we implement this or before. Um, yeah, so that's the one that I think Google was waiting on.
Yeah, I approved that PR. I think we can update the RFC as opposed to creating a new RFC.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, I I don't have a strong opinion on doing it before or after that PR is merged. Look to Terrence for that, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds fine to me. I think we should probably update the RFC after we kind of go through all the things and make sure when we get through implementation that there aren't yet more changes that we want.
Okay. That sounds perfect. Okay. Then I will then I guess I'm looking to I guess what's the order that we want to do this in? We have the RC, which is already approved and merged. We have the spec, and I guess we can go ahead and start the implementation of this on
Yeah.
lifecycle. Is that
Yeah, I
is
think
that
that's
kind of where you
fine.
think we should do?
So
Okay, and
spec,
then yeah,
yeah, spec implementation and then RFC retroactively or in parallel.
okay, okay. Well, that'll be the next thing that I probably hop onto unless someone else gets to it before me.
Yeah, I think I need to, since we cut new releases, I need to create new branches for this stuff, and we should make sure
Yes, yeah.
that we're
Target
merging
the
this
PRs
into
against the main.
the right branches and not back into main like last time.
Yeah,
So I
yeah. I
don't have
had
to
it open
cherry
here, but
pick it
yeah, we
again.
need to. Yeah, we probably need to edit this and put it,
Yeah.
like you said, at
So
the right branch.
let me
But yeah,
cut branches for that because I don't think I've done that yet, and then I will repoint it.
sounds good. That's all I had on that one. Other agenda items? What do y'all want to talk about?
I had a question kind of similar to the pull 421. So, so we are very much interested in the observability during the builds, as in like the time of execution and why they fail specifically. So I know that the lifecycle documentation describes a bunch of exit codes that this range belongs to analyzer exit or detector exit, but I couldn't find any mapping with the exact exit code. So let's say that I get an exit code 33. What exactly does it mean? Like all I know is that all the exit codes in the range of 30 originate from analyzer. So uh, is there a guide maybe or like a mapping that I'm missing out? Uh, what's the way to understand this?
Yeah, I think they should have fairly reasonable constant names, typically speaking. So if 30 is 33 a real one, or did you just make that one up?
It's actually, yeah.
Okay.
So on the analyze phases documentation,
Hmm.
the analysis specific errors are supposed to be like 30 to 39.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, they should be like we log exit codes, or we have a constant for a bunch of exit codes. Um, so yeah, I would think that they would be in lifecycle. So if you're not seeing them in there, then I can maybe try to help dig into that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they should be there, but if it sounds like they're not, so we need to dig into that.
Okay. Would it help if I like open something to track this, like
Yeah,
bug
that'd be
FR?
good. Yeah, let's put an issue in lifecycle and ask, what the how can I get more information about exit codes and give us an example there, and that would be good.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
No, the only update I have is regarding the Equinix. I already removed the runner. The runner was already turned off. And what I did was just to use a Windows runner, which is running the test, but it's skipping the ones that needs the daemon install and stuff. So basically, like unit testing and everything, it's running fine. It was very straightforward. But I'm running it with the configuration. There was already a configuration unpacked to turn off the test if the daemon is not there. So that's what I did. Just basically put that flag on off, and the runner basically worked. So we already have 3 runners. We still have 3 runners for our ARM architecture, MD, and Windows. I needed the Windows runner just for keep pushing releases of pack in Chocolatey, because the build it's configured on the steps are configured to run on a Windows machine. So I will test that the next release to see if everything is fine. But yeah, I thought that it was going to be painful, but it was not. So yeah.
Nice. Any other agenda items?
Did we cut a pack thing already for the new spec stuff, Juan? You're muted if you're talking.
Sure. Not yet. After I removed this runner, I also did another couple of chores and stuff. So now I'm working on updating my PRs and stuff to cut the new pack release with the features after the spec was out. Jesse already released the new version of Lifecycle. So yeah, the next one will be pack. So I will be working on that, hopefully, and I will cut it. Okay.
Sounds good. All right. Any other agenda items?
I think Colin just joined us. How did the platform thing go with Bill packs, or how'd you think it went while you were on a plane or landing from a plane?
Yeah, sorry about that. I figured I'd actually get on video this time. I think it went really well. We had some chatter behind the scenes about it too from some of our core maintainers. So hopefully we'll be able to come back to you guys pretty shortly with some feedback and get another session going. But I thought it was great, to be honest. The types of questions that we got were a little interesting, like from the was asking about the base OS and some of that. And I think there was just a little bit of a misunderstanding on the container side, maybe there too, but yeah, it was good to get that kind of back and forth. But yeah, thank you guys again for doing that especially on short notice. But I thought it went really well.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that we have material that we can hodgepodge together really quickly from doing the booth. But yeah, it sounds like the next thing that the group wanted was like potentially discussion panel forum thing.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of there might be a little bit of how to or demo, I think, that could drive something. So I didn't chime in because I was kind of caught up in travel again at that point. But when they were talking about the QA formats and things, so we're moving to it's like it's recorded too, so I don't want to talk about too much stuff. But we're moving to this kind of discussion format. When the community started back in the day, it was very much we were all trying to kind of figure out what platform engineering meant, and there wasn't really a name behind it and all that. So it was a lot of how should I do this? How should I serve this? How should I provide this? What is this called? There was a lot of that kind of discussion that was really valuable. And it was really collaborative. And the meetings lately, we've done more kind of the presentation format to make people aware of different tools and capabilities and just make it more presentation format. But we're going to try to bring back an intentional discussion format thing too. And so they didn't articulate it well, but what I would like to see from the discussion format side, and we weren't originally planning to have like a presenter be the focus of the discussion, but I think it definitely makes sense. It's like, what kind of feedback can you guys get from that group to better position or communicate or market build packs to the people that will be providing them, or the people that will be even maybe using build packs for some of the platform components and things, but just kind of getting aligned on how do people perceive this from that particular role, but then drive some discussion, like use some discussion with the folks. I imagine there were questions that people were going to have was like, how do I run this? What should I do next? Why should my developer says this use case, what about that? Can that be used? And just let people ask a lot more questions, I think will drive some discussion there. But it still felt like leaving the meeting the other day that there was still a little bit more for people to understand so that they could figure out what kinds of questions to ask. It seemed like there was some hesitancy there, if that makes sense.
Do you picture more birds of a feather style kind of thing or breakout thing? Because I mean, there was 30 people, give or take, right? Like in that,
Right.
And I, when we do virtual meetings at work, I know it's just really hard to like just if you cut up the time, it's like what 2 minutes per person kind of thing. And not everyone's going to chime in, but I think you want to give everyone the opportunity to. It just feels like it is really hard to engage in a discussion unless you're going to have a bunch of passive folks in that. So,
right.
Would you try to break that up? And maybe you don't know the answer to that, but it seemed to be like a healthy, like significantly large group for a designated meeting time across time zones. And I feel like if you want to have that kind of back and forth, you would want it to be like under 10 people per group or something, right?
Yeah, we're kind of working on it. I feel you there. We've done okay in the past with the 20 to 30 people because typically like a core group will be the ones to speak up. But sometimes you get some challenging, like some people that have some challenging opinions that other people might not agree with, who they tend to wrangle the whole or steal the whole conversation. And so we want to avoid that. I think we're thinking about in the GitHub issues for the existing meetings, we've positioned it where people are supposed to come ahead of time with questions. And that's hard to do for a topic you might not necessarily know about. But I think my feel is if we do a good job of communicating the meeting purpose early, like really early, and basically tell people, get your questions in, or you're not going to be able to ask them unless we have time. Please go do your research, try something out, follow this guide, do this tutorial first, like give them really easy homework, hopefully, because nobody has time to do this stuff anyway. I want to try to provide some controls that make people do some work ahead of time, if that makes sense, so that we can control some of that discussion, maybe is the right way of saying that. I don't want it to just be open like office hours. I don't think that's going to work for people. Or we're going to get to the 50th minute and then we're going to say, okay, cool, now build packs, guys, go ahead. I want to avoid that at all costs. That's a long way of saying we're figuring it out. I think those are good suggestions. But that won't be until January anyway.
Gotcha. Yeah. Cool. Do you have anything you want to talk about or bring up before we, I guess, close off for the holidays, since we're at the end of the agenda?
No, I didn't have anything. I'm just trying to be diligent about showing up so that I can start digging in more. But I didn't show up with a particular need. It's good to see the releases for life cycle and things. I guess we're about to try to I've pushed our team for our Appenio product to go ahead and try to make the decision for what to do for the are we going to go with K-Pack? Are we going to go with are we going to move to Pack in our workload and migrate away from using Creator Lifecycle? Are we going to implement Lifecycle more completely? We're starting to try to think about the direction that we want to take on that, but we don't have enough to ask good articulated questions on it quite yet.
Cool.
I think we're definitely moving in the direction though of having like first-class project TOML support and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if you're going to go the K-Pack route, maybe you could actually contribute the project TOML support in a K-Pack.
Yeah, that would be cool.
As a thing.
Project
I'm
TOML
sure
support is still something I want to figure out where that should live and land. Like, as a platform internally, we also support Project TOML, but it's just slightly different than Pack, right? Like we have different ways of passing credentials. We have certain sections that are customized, and so it would be nice to kind of like put heads together as we get maybe yet another implementation of Project TOML to kind of figure out if there's at least some shared tooling that we could rely on, because you want users who don't know anything about any platform to start out and they use Pack, and then you want them to be able to progressively get more complicated as they go into different platforms that maybe have additions and extensions on top of the base, like choose your build packs adventure.
Yeah, 100%. Like we were looking at there was an issue where somebody was requesting the ability to exclude files and paths, and their suggestion was why don't we just reuse the end user suggestion was why don't we just reuse gitignore? And so I was able to explain, well, gitignore doesn't cover every use case. What if you need a particular file? What if you're doing a dev build and there's a file you've added that is under a path that is in gitignore, but you need it in this build? Like having a deliberate includes or having a deliberate excludes, which might belong in the project TOML and not in the gitignore, but like communicating the methods of interacting and passing information to the build packs. And you see the build TOML and some of the others. And so I need to build a deeper understanding of the specs and the tools as they are today and understand where those fit. And for us, I guess the most valuable thing for us as contributors and adopters is just getting direction from you guys on roadmap and understanding effective places to invest that time. And so if it means, hey, this is something that makes sense to be in K-Pack and we want to invest further into K-Pack, that would be a good home for it. It won't be, it will be fruitful. It won't be eventually removed or something, you know what I mean? That type of guidance is super helpful.
Yeah, I mean, for the Project TOML thing, we've been talking about it for a while. I feel like it's been like 3-4 years we've been talking about Project TOML and K-Pack. I feel like it wasn't ever like top of mind for the people who
Yeah.
are using it, kind of driving the contributors for it at the time. And um, yeah, so that's in part of it. I mean,
One,
probably should go ahead.
yeah, sorry, I don't mean to. One question that I had the other day that you might have a quick answer for, but not maybe an exact thing. I was thinking about because a lot of the challenges that our customers have are related to consumption of tools that may already exist or are provided by a different group within the organization. And I was working on or communicating supply chain, and the customer was talking about the differences between hardened packages versus hardened images. And we were talking in the context of build packs also, will we get to that point where we have hardened build packs? And that's a thing. But one case that I was thinking of was the ability to almost add middleware to or hooks for middleware of some type in a or like a layer to an existing build pack. And I was thinking about, would maybe we just take a more intentional inline build packs approach and show people how to build layers that way. Again, this is noob stuff, learning a little bit about the workflow and the target methods. But the use case really was like, okay, so I want my users to just build their code, but I want to be able to insert something in the process that says like, hey, use this tool to automatically swap out dependencies in the package JSON with hardened versions, or something like that. But I want it to be, I don't want my developers to have to think about that.
Yeah, you should
Like
look
if
up like
there's
system
an
build
ability
packs
to do that. Yeah.
if you haven't. Yeah, so system build packs just landed in platform 0.15, and
Okay.
one of the main benefits there for like Heroku, for instance, we have a long-standing build pack that's a very minimal one called Procfile that we basically include in all of our groups. So if you have a Node app, Procfile's right there alongside of it. Uh, System build packs allows a builder to package in build packs that are always participating in every group. So regardless of whether it's in your project TOML or your normal pack build command, the system build pack has a chance to execute. So that gives you a place to kind of hook in, and it can happen pre or post group. So you
Cool.
can make it like post any group, so that you could theoretically look back into the group and see what was produced and like give some messaging. Or in our case, we want, like I said, Procfile to be sort of processed regardless of like, because one foot gun that people run into a lot with us is doing like a pack build and it works great, and then they want to use a certain build pack, and then they do pack build pack, and then Procfile is no longer along for the ride because they
Right.
didn't realize that it wasn't like that. It was sort of magic with the default detection.
That could be helpful to us with our use of, and we're going to go pick it apart, but our use of lifecycle creator, where like today people are trying to use the project TOML, but it's not supported, right? It's not picked up. But if we could use the system build packs to like add support for that, or like to make sure it's pulled in and respected or something, that's cool.
Yeah,
It also gives us a
something
way
like that. Yeah,
that may also give us a way to like let the user along the way include almost like include plugins alongside their build. That's awesome. I'll take a look at that. I really appreciate that. That gives
yeah.
us
I
a way
think we
to
used to
integrate
call
with
it
some of the other
hooks or
providers
something,
too.
and then eventually it became system build packs was kind of the default name, because it is basically a build pack, but it's always included and it's managed by the builder producer themselves. And so like, and it
Awesome.
also has some protections against like if your project TOML had that same build pack reference, then it just gets deduped and stuff like that, right? So that you can migrate from what used to be
Sick.
a group level build pack into a system level build pack without, needing users to touch their files or anything.
Cool. Do you guys do more of a Heroku question and just curiosity? Like in the case of something like React to Shell, is there any, as a part of the service, like proactively you go and, detect and replace with a version with a patch or a mitigation in
Not
cases like
today.
that?
It's something as a open source, build packs maintainer, we've talked about like patching specific layers from build packs to
Mhm.
sort of mitigate these things. But the Heroku platform itself is more of like, we're a partner in your security, and so it's ultimately up to you, and what you run is kind of in the customer's zone. But we would like to bring that a little closer with SBOMs, being able to at least
Yeah.
report to customers that they're probably affected, as well as like to your point of like patching. Like if we know that you have this in there, then we could potentially patch it out. But I think it's a lot harder from like a build packs perspective to think about how you would patch one of 100 npm modules in a single layer.
Right.
It's a lot easier to think about like if there was a critical node vulnerability, like patching that from like version 26 to 26.1 is pretty easy, because like Heroku always builds this version of node. Here's the digest for that layer. I can replace it with this layer and update my stuff and kind of rebase. But it's a lot harder to think about how you would do that, for like single packages.
Yeah. Yeah. There are a couple different methods we were looking at. The like people in some cases, if you're a more mature organization or a wealthier organization, you can just say, well, cool, manage all of your packages and redirects in Nexus, and supply a specific repo that's proxying to others. And then in other organizations, it's like we'll pull everything from npm, but these two or three, you need to use specific versions. There are some tools now that let us, yeah, we could just use the npm RC really for specific packages and kind of sub out certain organizations and make them come from specific sources is one way.
It
But
only
there are
helps at
some
build
tools out there
time.
that will do that replacement for us. Um,
Yeah.
but that's kind of those are kind of new up and comers. And so my thought on a market side too is I can build um, plugins to work with those particular services to, just swap out the individual packages and not have to convince somebody to change the way they do package management and run Nexus.
Yeah.
So nice that we can inject that. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's an RFC. Let me see if it's somewhere. Is it an RFC? I think it is. There's an RFC
Yeah, it's
somewhere on here for
101.
101. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one where we're talking? Wait, maybe it's not RFC. You said 101? That doesn't.
I think it was 101.
There's a.
Oh, 101 is system build packs in Builder.
Oh no! So I was looking for the. Where was it at? There's a like a rebase build pack layers. Is kind of what I was looking for. There's some sort of. Yeah. So there's this 333.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the rebase build pack contributed layers. But this has the scaling problem of, are you really going to have each package that could be replaced on the fly, a deep within other layers? Like this kind of assumes like a one for one layer. Like if you have an example build pack
Yeah.
that has a layer called dist, it's easy to understand how you might patch from version 1.22 to 1.23. But if you're going to do this for a layer that is like npm modules, you've got thousands,
Right.
millions of files in there, and I don't know how you would do that. But the idea here is you produce golden layers and you
Mhm.
maintain those as like an organization, kind of like you were saying, or like a Nessus thing or something, where you're just
Yeah.
you've got the golden version of Node.js, the golden version of Python. You can patch those at runtime without having to do a rebuild, with just doing rebase, but it doesn't really scale to the level of packages yet, I don't think. But I think there's still something here to think about for that.
Yeah. I think
Maybe
there's some good
there's,
insight there. And some of this too is I know we want to be very optimized. Also, like I think I'm in the camp where it's okay. I think it's okay in cases where we communicate that there will be a known additional overhead. Like if you're gonna do a build and like an npm build and then go in and rebuild it, like we know that's a bunch of extra work, but
yeah,
for flexibility, sometimes that sacrifice is okay. But just being able to communicate that to the adopters
yeah,
is the
yeah. And
key
that's
there.
one thing that we talked about here is being able to, if you were using GitHub Actions or, Heroku, and you had a layer that was npm modules, to your point, if we had if the build pack had some mitigations built in for like known CVEs, then we could kick off a build on their behalf, produce that new NPM layer, and then patch their runtime images without having to like go through the full build. Like, even if the
Yeah.
build isn't, fully successful, like, as long as you get far enough to get that one NPM layer, then maybe you could, without their source code, you can kind of redo that potentially. But
Yeah, exactly. I imagine you could have a layer 2 that does some analysis or something and ship some stuff off and says, "Hey, here are some things you could build to optimize." Yeah, that's cool.
awesome.
Cool. Sorry not to go down that rabbit hole.
I know you're good. You're good. The only other thing I was going to mention is that we're going to be out for the next couple weeks. These meetings will not be taking place, even if they're on a calendar. And then when we come back, be on the lookout for new links. We've got a new CNCF provided Zoom link with stuff all set up correctly, I think, with like different users and YouTube streaming. And so we'll be migrating over to that. So be on the lookout for either updated invites from the BuildPacks.io site. Maybe if someone's managing the actual invites that people have on their calendar, potentially. I don't know how that works exactly. But if you
Are you switching
join a
to
meeting,
Bevy? Are you
I
going to
don't think
use
so.
the
It's still
community
Zoom.
CNCF site? Okay.
Yeah, it's still Zoom. But I think we did it through like open. What was it called now? We hooked it all up to open profile, and we're all individually added as like meeting organizers. The way it worked before is we had a CNCF user here,
Yeah.
but it meant that we had to share that user to do the YouTube streaming somehow. So anyway, I'm not sure. Joe was the one who was running all that, but I think we're updating our link and everything, so the passcode will change. So if you end up joining a meeting next week and it's empty, check back to either Slack, BuildPacks.io, or the community website, and we'll try to get those updated before then.
Awesome. I might poke your brains behind the scenes on it because we deal with some of that on the platform side.
Yeah, Joe just set all that up, and like, we just tested it before this one just to make sure it all worked, and so it seemed to work fine, but like we still have to set up, like, I think everyone has to be invited to the YouTube account and everything, which is kind of a little paper cutty, like I don't really know if I need my Gmail connected to some random YouTubes to turn it on. Like, it would be nice if it was all behind the scene, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much. We'll catch you